Hello, and welcome back to That's English.
Hi there.
What's wrong?
Our landlord has just increased the rent on our apartment, and I don't think we can afford it.
Well, you should tell him.
He's a property speculator, so he buys and sells property to make a profit. If we can't pay, he'll find someone else who can.
Is that legal?
He's the one with all the money and authority. It's difficult to fight the powers that be.
Well, that's certainly true. In today's episode, we meet Megan and Don, who are having their own problems with their landlord.
As you watch, try to answer this question. Why are Megan and Don suspicious of their landlord?
You must be Don and Megan. I'm Karen. This is my assistant, Colin. Hi. Sorry to keep you waiting. Now, you say in your email that you're objecting to your landlord collecting rent when he doesn't even do the basic repairs.
Exactly.
The building's in a terrible state. We object to paying rent when the flat is uninhabitable.
The windows are in such a bad state that they let the water in. Look at this.
The handrail on the stairs actually came off in my hand last week. And the wiring's faulty. Most of the sockets don't work.
We think he's trying to force us out of the flat so he can sell it.
Well, he wouldn't be the first landlord to do that.
Yes, but we think there might be something illegal going on.
At the back of our block, there's some wasteland. And a few months ago, a sign went up saying the land was up for redevelopment.
If they knock down our block of flats, they'd have more space to build a bigger, more lucrative development.
I really disapprove of property speculators knocking down old buildings. And then they put up luxury flats, which people like us can't afford. They'll make us all leave in the end.
But when we went to the council to ask them about the redevelopment plans, no one could give us any information. We think it's time to protest about it.
Really? Is that the land at the back of the Broadmead estate, by any chance?
Yes, it is.
What's the name of your landlord?
Roger Colbert?
Ah, Mr. Colbert. We've had quite a few of our readers complaining about him. We'll go and talk to him.
He might refuse to see you.
I don't think so. We'll find a way. That's our job.
Mr. Colbert, you have tenants that are not happy with the state of this building. They object to you ignoring all of their calls. They think your refusal to do any repairs is unacceptable.
I have some good tenants. They don't have any complaints. But some people are never happy.
Here are some pictures of one of your properties. As you can see, the handrail has come away from the wall, and the wiring here is definitely illegal.
You're absolutely right. There are a few things I need to catch up on. And that's why I'm here today. If you give me the names and the flat numbers of the tenants who've been complaining, I'll make sure it's all dealt with.
I'm sure you will, Mr. Colbert.
To be honest with you, these flats are more trouble than they're worth. I'll be glad to get rid of them.
Are you selling them?
I've had a good offer from the council.
Really? From Councillor Maguire?
How do you know that?
Just a guess, Mr. Colbert.
Now, you watch what you do, young man. I strongly object to the press hounding innocent people, and if you print anything I don't like, your editor will be hearing from my solicitor. I will not be intimidated.
There's definitely something going on. It'd be great if Don and Megan could organise a petition with loads of signatures.
Yes. Then we could confront the powers that be, like Councillor Maguire.
I'll go and phone them.
OK, I feel a little better now. At least my landlord isn't as corrupt as Mr. Colbert.
Were you able to answer the question? Why are Megan and Don suspicious of their landlord?
We think he's trying to force us out of the flat so he can sell it. At the back of our block, there's some wasteland. And a few months ago, a sign went up saying the land was up for redevelopment.
If they knock down our block of flats, they'd have more space to build a bigger, more lucrative development.
Megan and Don think their landlord is trying to force them out of the flat to sell it.
He wants to knock down the block of flats and build a bigger, more lucrative development.
In the video, we heard people expressing objections.
Now, you say in your email that you're objecting to your landlord collecting rent when he doesn't even do the basic repairs.
Mr. Colbert, you have tenants that are not happy with the state of this building. They object to you ignoring all of their calls.
Now, you watch what you do, young man. I strongly object to the press hounding innocent people.
Notice that we use the ing form of the verb after object to, and this comes after the object pronoun.
For example, I object to my landlord raising the rent.
Yes, and I object to him not giving you a chance to negotiate.
We also heard other words related to making objections, such as protest, refuse, disapprove and complain.
I really disapprove of property speculators knocking down old buildings.
Ah, Mr. Colbert. We've had quite a few of our readers complaining about him.
He might refuse to see you.
Couldn't you just refuse to pay the higher rent on your apartment?
No, but I could complain to the council about my landlord.
I think it's time for you to protest.
Well, let's see if Megan and Don are having any success with their protest.
Remember, they were organising a petition to give to Councillor Maguire.
As you watch, answer this question. Why isn't Councillor Maguire interested in the petition?
We've got over 500 signatures on a petition to stop the Broadmead development.
Right. Well, I've agreed to listen to your concerns and to assure you that everything that needs to be done is being done.
We need repairs done to the flats.
Absolutely. You're right.
Is it true Mr. Colbert has sold the land to the council?
I'm afraid I'm under an obligation not to disclose the details of council business, but be assured the situation will be resolved soon.
You're not giving us any information.
I agree. We need some facts, not just empty promises.
Unfortunately, I'm required to be at a council meeting in a few minutes, but my assistant Rachel will answer all of your questions.
That was rude, wasn't it? Why did she have to leave so quickly?
She hasn't answered any of our questions.
No, that's true. I'm sorry. You're the reporter from the News of Today, aren't you?
That's right.
Could I have a word with you in private?
Sure.
We'll wait outside.
The other day, I was asked by Councillor Maguire to sort out some papers in her office. And I found these. I don't think I was meant to see them.
What are they?
They're photocopies of some correspondence between the property developers and Maguire.
Oh, this is very interesting.
The odd thing is that no one else at the council seems to know about it. Surely she's obliged to tell the council if she's involved in something like this.
Of course she is. Councillor Maguire doesn't know you've seen these, does she?
Absolutely not. This correspondence relates to this piece of land right here.
Maguire will receive some money if this deal goes through.
Yes,
This is evidence of corruption.
I know. I've seen the plans for the shopping centre on this piece of land, and the only things standing in the way of Maguire are these flats.
A bit more research is needed here. We can't publish anything until we're sure of the facts. You mustn't mention this to anyone just yet.
Of course not. I hate to see corruption. Maguire already has a big house and plenty of money. It's just greed, isn't it?
Yes, it is. They say that all power corrupts.
Absolutely.
I think you'll soon have the repairs done on your flat. Look at this.
Wow.
Colin said that all power corrupts. Do you think that's true?
Well, the newspaper used its power to do something positive, so perhaps not in all cases.
Let's take a look at the question. Why isn't Councillor Maguire interested in the petition?
This correspondence relates to this piece of land right here.
Maguire will receive some money if this deal goes through.
So Councillor Maguire will receive some money if the land is developed.
No wonder she doesn't want to take forward the petition against the property developers.
In this part, we had some useful expressions to talk about obligation. We can use the expression to be under an obligation to do something.
I'm afraid I'm under an obligation not to disclose the details of council business.
We can also express obligation using required to and obliged to, followed by the infinitive form of the verb.
Unfortunately, I'm required to be at a council meeting in a few minutes, but my assistant Rachel will answer all of your questions.
Surely she's obliged to tell the council if she's involved in something like this.
My landlord should be under an obligation to keep his tenants happy.
Unfortunately, I don't think he's required to do that by law.
Now, let's hear what our friends in the USA say about power.
We asked them this question. If you had the power to change something in the world, what would it be?
I think people's ability to be compassionate for others.
Any type of abuse, it's horrendous. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
The leaders of this great country would expel on the leaders of the other great countries and stop the stealing and take care of the problems that are real problems in this country and other countries. And that is doing something to help the people and not talk about it.
And I think I would want to change the way people disregard how important our planet is, especially major corporations and the way they destroy our planet for profit.
If I could change anything in the world, I would change homelessness. I would try to get rid of all homelessness in the world and give everyone a house.
And I would want to change the minimum wage, get rid of it, or at least raise it a little bit so people wouldn't have to struggle to pay their bills.
Okay, I'll get rid of social class so there's no high class or low class. Everybody would just be equal.
We don't want to see people on the street starving when there's plenty of resources around us that could prevent that from happening.
I really wish people were more accepting of differences.
Introduce something to the water that would generate empathy among people regardless of their upbringings.
So people would use power to do good rather than bad.
Glenn wants to change the way companies destroy our planet for profit.
Jamelka wants to help the homeless. And Chelsea would abolish social class.
How about you, Samantha? What would you change if you had the power to?
I'd stop rent increases.
Good idea. Well, that's all we have time for today.
Join us next time on That's English. Goodbye.
Bye for now.